What's going on, you guys? It's Troy here, and if you watched my previous channel update video, where I was talking about, my life and that sort of thing, just kind of briefly, um, this is going to be a video about the place that I previously was employed with. Now, I don't work for the company. I'm not going to give any specific names, um, nothing like that. But I worked for the company Stop and Shop. If you don't know what that is, it's a grocery store. Uh, it's kind of, I'm trying to think what you would compare it to. Maybe like a Publix or something like that. Um, and the thing I kind of want to talk about is, and it wasn't anybody that I personally worked with, because I pretty much liked everybody that I worked with for the almost 5 years that I worked with the company. It was more the company itself I didn't like. Um, when I first started, it was kind of just a job that I needed a job. There wasn't any ifs, ands, or buts about it. Um, so it did satisfy what I needed it for. It gave me a paycheck every week, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Um, the thing I don't like is that to get full time was like impossible. And I'm not leaving it to the managers, I'm leaving it to the actual company, because they tell you what, or they tell the managers what they can and cannot do, which, I mean, obviously makes sense. But there's people that are willing to work more and more, to help out the store, because sometimes the store is very, short-handed, and they wouldn't give you the time. They had this Rising Star program or whatever, which I thought was nonsense. Um, it was one of those things where it was like almost like a joke, because you worked in the thing for 6 weeks, and if you didn't like it, I mean, it was nice because you could just go back to what you were doing before, but at the same time, it was like I wouldn't ask to go full time and try it. I want to go full time. I want to go full time. Like, I don't want any of this in between nonsense. Um, so I wasn't really crazy about that. So when I worked there, I started as a cashier. It was about a year or so, and then we had two gas clerks that had left because they didn't agree with management, which I kind of understood years later why they left. I didn't understand it at the time, but I learned to understand it. So then I filled in the gas station, which ended up becoming permanent. I was like flopping back and forth between a cashier and a gas clerk, and then finally they just put me a gas clerk because I just couldn't stand working inside that store. Um, I had a front end manager that wasn't exactly, let's just say, really didn't care about people. He was just more about himself, and if it was not his way, it was no way, kind of deal. And management kind of let him get away with that, unfortunately. But as far as the gas station, I personally like doing it. Um, I didn't like the hours. I mean, they only gave me 25 hours a week, which I thought was a joke, unless somebody called out, or that rare occasion where they would give you 8 hours. Um, but mostly it was just 4.5 hour shifts, sometimes even 4 hour shifts. Like, sometimes a joke. Um, in most cases. And to be honest, I did like the work. I didn't mind doing paperwork and that sort of thing. Um, the thing I didn't like is the people that they would put out there just didn't care, and they don't care because they're only getting paid minimum wage, which I will get into the pay in a minute. They were only getting paid minimum wage. They would get maybe 15 to maybe 20 hours if they were lucky. And they wouldn't do anything. There'd be no paperwork filed, or they would just file it incorrectly. There'd be paperwork missing, and then like you'd have to, tell the manager that it was missing, and then they get aggravated with you. It was one of those things where just people just didn't care. People didn't do anything. Nobody was accountable for anything. And unfortunately, when the other girl that was running the gas station before I was in there, unfortunately left, and she got full time at a different store. She kind of lucked out, but it took many years for her to get that. But in any case, when she left, I took over, and it all kind of was just a mess. I don't know how she dealt with it, and I don't even know how I dealt with it most days, because there were some days where there was some associates that I had that I would love to just rip their hair out some days, because they were just so stupid. And not even like stupid, like just like mentally stupid, like just did stupid things. Like, I don't know, like if you tell them to put paper A into folder A, they would put it in folder C. Like, why? It doesn't make any sense. Um, it would just be stupid things like that. People wouldn't take the trash out. People would leave the bathroom disgusting. People would leave food all in the booth. It was gross. Um, so then when I took over, I kind of started hammering into people, and then I kind of hammered into the assistant manager, like, like things that got to change, and they kind of did. Not enough, unfortunately, but that's a whole different topic for another day, and I'm not going to get into that. But as far as the pay, I'm going to get into that. The pay was almost a joke, because at least in Connecticut, minimum wage rises every year, or about every year. So let's just say you were making $10, let's just say, and you got a raise of, I don't know, 10.25 in July, let's just say. Well, when October came, minimum wage would go up to $11. So you would go up to minimum wage at $11, but you would think you would go to $11.25. No, you go to 11, and then Joe Schmo, who's walking in the door, is going to make the same amount of money as you. Well, how's that fair? I never understood that concept, and the company was never willing to give you that raise. And when they did, again, minimum wage went up, and that was it. And the union, oh my god, that union was awful. Awful. I don't care what anybody says about the UFCW, or at least in my opinion, they're awful. They don't do anything. I mean, there was an email that I sent to one of the guys asking for a card or something, because I was thinking about staying within a hold, Diaz, or whatever the hell their company is called. And there was a card, so like if you went to, let's just say Giant, let's just say, you could stay with the union. You don't really have to pay your initiation dues. Well, I sent him an email like 3 weeks before I left and never got anything, nothing back. And then when I called, they had no idea about the email. And that's when I got to the point where I said, I am done with this company. I am absolutely done with this company. And there's a new grocery store I'm working for. I'm not going to disclose, because I'm not going to give an opinion of something I haven't started. And, I've been in the grocery stores, they're very nice, but I'm not going to disclose anything, because it's not appropriate. I haven't started yet, so maybe in a future video I'll get into that. But anyways, but yeah, just, if you're thinking about working at Stop and Shop, it's a great first job, don't get me wrong. If you're looking for a job for a year or two, just to, get your retail experience, it's a great job, but it's not a career. Stop and Shop is not a career, or at least the one I worked at was not. Again, I'm not going to say where specifically it was, but specifically for my experience, it's a good first job, but it's not a forever job. And I unfortunately had to learn that the hard way, because I did give it an effort to stay, and my personal life changed a lot within the last couple of years. So that's kind of what prompted the move, for me and my mom to decide. So that's just my opinion of Stop and Shop. Again, I'm not naming specific people. I'm not naming specific people in the union. I'm not doing any of that. I'm talking about the company as a whole. And if Stop and Shop doesn't like it, and they happen to see this video, which I seriously doubt, but if they do, maybe they'll learn something that, if they actually cared about their employees, maybe they would stay, and there wouldn't be so much turnover. I don't know how any other stores are, but as far as the store I worked in, it just wasn't good. And again, if Stop and Shop wants to reach out, which I seriously doubt is going to happen, but if they do, I'd be happy to give them my opinions, and maybe they can improve for the next guy who's going to be in my position, so he can make a career out of the company if he or she so chooses. But I just kind of wanted to vent my feelings. I've been kind of thinking about doing this video for a long time, and it was kind of a controversial video for me to decide to end up making as of right now. But I decided that I would do it and keep it kind of on the down low, like not give specifics or anything, because I don't want them coming after me. But so I'm just talking about them as a whole and my personal experience. But in any case, like I said in my update video, if you've watched this far, thank you. But like I said in my update video, I'm going to be trying to do vlogs and stuff now that I'm moving to a more interesting place. I should have more interesting things to do. So hopefully you guys will see a video, and catch you next time.